Hello everyone, NDTV and BHFL Pramerica Life Insurance Company Limited welcome you all to the Mumbai edition of Behtar India's Social Responsibility Campaign. Now, Behtar India is a campaign that aims to create a nationwide movement working on three crucial pillars of Swasthya, Swachhata and Vatavaran. The real idea is to get all the students and young people involved in this. Also from the point of view of gamification, this is a contest and there are big prizes potentially to be won. Today, we are going to be looking at Behtar India also from the corporate and social organizations perspective, essentially how they can provide guidance and mentoring to many of the young people who are actually working in this particular competition. Do you know that India is the first country in the world that has actually legislated corporate social responsibility, which means that companies meeting a certain criteria have to spend a mandated 2% of their CSR. Now, does this happen? Yes, it does. Is it helpful? Yes, it is. But is it as effective and as impactful as it could possibly be? The answer to that is no, and to some extent the reason is small or big, but segregated efforts. Everyone's not exactly pulling together. And that is why through this social responsibility convention that we are holding here in Mumbai, we are asking the question, is collaborative the way forward for social responsibility? And now let me call on a really distinguished and special panel that we are sitting here on the stage to tell us how we can do a lot of this. Let me start with Adar Poonawala, CEO and Executive Director of the Serum Institute of India. It's the world's largest vaccine manufacturer by now, yes, isn't it? Dr. Ganesh Natarajan is the chairman of the NASCOM Foundation, well-known business and community leader. You set up, I don't know how many companies you've set up, Aptex, and there are a lot of them. So, serial entrepreneur, now really going to be making a big impact also from a social point of view, and we will continue to pick your brain. Namita Vikas is the group president and the global head of climate strategy and responsible banking at Yes Bank. Thanks so much for joining us. You've been talking about a 360-degree approach for quite some time. Deepak Arora is the CEO of the SR Foundation. 18 years experience. You've been working with government institutions and others, and we're going to get your thoughts on how we can all work together. And of course, our partner in all of this, somebody who's helped in conceptualizing and conceiving this entire idea, Major Suman Majumdar, is AVP National Product Manager at DFL Pramerica Life Insurance Company. Why don't I come to each of you very quickly to just tell me, how is it that corporates and big organizations can help? We've tried to get children involved by making it a game. Kids get involved if it's a game. There's a contest, so they're getting involved. What can all of you do to help this process?
Well, Vikram, firstly, I think you touched upon the CSR mandate that was put in by the government to encourage corporates to come forward. I think that's not going to be enough, and I think that's where the youth and others can encourage other corporates. You know, there's only a handful of corporates which have really gone beyond their CSR obligations to make an impact. And I think unless their will to make a difference is there, and they're willing to spend their personal time away from their main business and core business activities, I don't see any other corporates being able to make a significant impact just using up the CSR budget where, you know, they'll just give some donations or whatever for some social work. That's where, you know, we...
No, so you're saying it's not enough to just say we have money and we're going to spend the money. You've got to actually figure out these are the outcomes that I'm trying to achieve. And it's good for a corporate to have a specific outcome, like you spent, what, 100 crore rupees in cleaning up Pune? Pune, is it that because...
Yes, I mean, we took up Pune as a city. That's where our business is based. So we naturally thought that we'll try and go as wide as possible across the city. We're covering 350 kilometers now of roads where we're picking up the waste and garbage out of the 1,200 which is surrounding the city and the neighboring areas. And it was only because myself and my team were willing to put in the time required to do this and address the very complicated issues of picking up and managing the waste.
Ganesh, now we know that IT companies, many of them are making big profits, so theoretically there is money to be spent. Now CSR, as he correctly said, is sometimes viewed as, oh, this is something we have to do for compliance reasons, for other reasons. But actually, if you think about it, you can say, well, if I do have that many profits and I do have to spend X amount of money, you could use that money for a specific targeted outcome and actually make a dramatic change. Would you agree with that?
No, absolutely. And in fact, if you look at the data, even if you look at all the companies that could have spent, let's say, 10,000 crores on CSR, in the first year of the law, hardly 50% got spent. Not because there was a lack of intention, but primarily because people didn't know where to channelize those funds. So I think what we are doing at a national level in NASSCOM Foundation is really giving people themes. I mean, it could be e-waste, it could be disability, it could be national digital literacy, and that's helping us to actually manage 50 crores directly and close to 1,500 crores where we're influencing.
So in addition to just the money, if I understood what you were saying, I think Adar was referring to it also, and I'm going to take it forward. It's not just about spending the money. You also have certain expertise. Now, NASSCOM, for example, they would have a lot of IT expertise. So how do we use the expertise that we have and some of the trained people who are there to say this is the solution, we can bring not just money but actual solutions to bear? Is that part of what you're saying?
No, very much so. And just to give you one example, I mean, we have a full-fledged volunteering platform that we have set up both in NASSCOM Foundation. It's called mykartavya.com. And similarly in Pune, the idea being that anybody with an idea should be able to come onto the platform, find 10 other people who can collaborate on that idea and make it happen together. So absolutely, I think digital technology is a kind of the backbone of what we're trying to do. And using digital technology, if you make a difference to young people, both in the 3 themes you outlined, plus digital literacy, education, I think we can make a much better city, much better nation.
All right, and Namita, let me just get you in on this because, I mean, you've been speaking a lot about the 360-degree approach and how it has to be done. One of the key parts of that 360-degree approach is obviously how do you interface with the government and with government organizations and with NGOs? What have been some of your learnings and experience in that?
Thanks. So, I've been hearing the other speakers. I think, one very important point is there is the act, there is the budget, but compassion cannot be legislated. What we worked with is water and livelihood security. And we said that where is the density of population where there's scarcity of water? And we looked at a partnership with the Ministry of Railways. We saw that there are D and E category of railway stations where there's no access to safe, clean drinking water. We looked at a very unique technology which works on zero electricity, zero wastage of water and purifies water up to 100%. And it delivers water at 6 paise a litre. So with that kind of a technology, we have today installations on 400 stations across Maharashtra going upwards to Madhya Pradesh, where there are about 1,500 people who are given access to safe, clean drinking water who come to that platform. They don't have to buy water, right? So I think, that kind of a collaboration has come about because governments really bring that scale. There are NGOs who have that connect with the community, and we have been able to get our innovative sense there, the overall managerial expertise to be able to bring about certain projects like this.
Because Deepak, if you really think about this, we're talking about who the various stakeholders are who could potentially collaborate. To take her point forward, government is what brings scale to it, because none of us can individually do it to that same extent. The government has to bring scale.
The government has a significant role, especially for companies like us which have a large physical footprint. And when you have a physical footprint, there is an engagement with the government practically on a day-to-day basis. What the government can give in addition to whatever the corporates are doing. So again, to put things in perspective, the CSR fund is collectively about 20,000 crores, which is less than 5% of what the government really has. So your ability as a corporate to catalyze that change and ability to produce and innovate ideas which will then lead into a larger cause and a larger change. I think that's the strength which the corporates have, and I'll only take one example over here. LEDs would not have been successful if the government had not reached that stage where you're buying millions of LED bulbs at a subsidized cost, and you really change the paradigm. So the government has that bandwidth, but unless the corporates are part of your innovation cycle, they are a part of your supply chain, they are the ones who are leading that suggestion on how to transform, the transformation will not really happen.